Tonight on Quinnipiac Live. From our state-of-the-art facilities, close-knit community, distinguished faculty, and variety of experiential learning opportunities, we'll show you how the Quinnipiac University School of Law is leading the way in preparing the next generation of law professionals. Join the conversation. Quinnipiac Live starts now. Hello and welcome to Quinnipiac Live. I'm your host, Joel Vanner, and tonight we have an exciting show planned for you with a variety of guests to highlight what makes the Quinnipiac School of Law so unique. Throughout the show, we invite you to join the conversation. Leave your questions in the comments section below so they can be answered live on air by our guests as well as in our Quinnipiac Live chat with students and staff. And be sure to like this video by the end of the live stream to be entered in to win a Quinnipiac Law prize pack. One lucky winner will be selected before the end of the show and announced live. I'm joined now by Joey Lynn Darius, Troy DeLeon, and Jennifer Gerarda Brown, Dean of the School of Law. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you for
having us.
Happy to be here.
So Troy and Joey Lynn, Troy, we'll start with you. Why did you choose the Quinnipiac School of Law?
Sure. So growing up in Connecticut, I really wanted to stay local, and Quinnipiac was a natural choice. I also chose Quinnipiac for a pretty unique reason. I came here on accepted students day, and as soon as I arrived on campus, I just felt the tight-knit community, the camaraderie of just everyone in the building, and it really drew me in, and it was the best decision I've made so far.
And Joey Lynn, there's something unique about your experience here at the Quinnipiac School of Law. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I am a mom of 3 and I work full time, so I was looking for a school that was strong academically, that was competitive, but had a strong, flexible part-time program that would allow me to continue working. And Quinnipiac exemplifies that. It has a wonderful part-time program, and it's allowed me to continue working and raising my family while attending school.
So Dean Brown, 2 students who are extremely fond of the School of Law. What is it like to be a dean of such a school that provides opportunities like these?
Oh, it's incredibly gratifying. I love our students. I love my colleagues. I've been at Quinnipiac for close to 25 years, and I've been dean now for 5 years. I'm in my 6th year, and I became dean of this school because I love it. And part of what I love so much is just what you heard these 2 students talk about, the rigor of the program and the warmth of the community, and it's a really fantastic balance.
So speaking about the rigor of the program, why don't you tell us a little bit about the curriculum in the School of Law?
Sure. Our faculty are obsessed with our students and their success. We talk all the time about what they need to be learning to be effective and ethical lawyers, to be ready to serve their clients upon graduating. And so we have a structured curriculum that has required courses in the first year and the second year, actually, because we want our students to have that broad legal literacy, but at the same time, it's very customizable so that students can bring their own personal interests to bear, and they can take a deeper dive into areas that they are particularly passionate about. So we have things that are called concentrations. They're kind of like majors at the undergraduate level, but they're totally optional, and they're in a variety of areas. So students can go into greater depth in some subject areas if they make that choice.
Don't forget, leave your questions in the comments section below as we move into a question. This question comes from Allie, and Allie asks us, what sort of student life opportunities are available at Quinnipiac Law? Troy or Joey Lynn?
Sure. So one thing about Quinnipiac that's really great is exactly that, the outreach into the student body. So I mean, there are so many organizations and societies and intramural sports teams. There's so much here for just about everyone. I know I'm a member of a variety of different things, but there is something truly for everyone.
And Joey Lynn, you know, you mentioned before how Quinnipiac School of Law fits right into your life. Why don't you talk a little bit more about the community aspect that you find here?
So a majority of the students that I interact with on a regular basis are my close friends. We communicate on a regular basis, and it's such a unique experience to go to a school where you have a support system not only by your professors and the faculty here, but also your classmates. And it's honestly one of the reasons that I love being here is just the community and the sense of support and nurture from my classmates and the professors here at the school.
So we have another question, and this question comes from Justin, and Justin asks, what kind of student organizations are available to law students?
There's a lot. So I know that I am a part of the Black Law Student Association. We have the Society for Dispute Resolution. We have other clubs. We have Mock Trial. We have Moot Court.
Yeah, I know I'm a member of Mock Trial. I'm also a member of the Health Law Journal. Joey Lynn is on Law Review. There's so much. Federalist Society. I mean, there's tons.
I believe we have more than 30 student organizations on campus, and when you consider that there are just over 300 students in our school, to be able to support that many and such a variety of student organizations shows you how engaged our students are. And we see this every year. We survey our students, and we find that our students remain deeply involved in the community through these student organizations throughout their time here.
Don't forget, leave your questions in the comment section below so they can be answered live on air by our guests. As we move into another question, this question comes from Minette, and Minette asks us, could you tell me what your bar pass rate is and how it compares to the state average?
Well, we're very excited about that because it was a tough bar this year. The July bar exam, the news was coming out that nationwide the pass rates had dropped, frankly. And so it was really a joy for us to see that our July test takers did very well, and our first-time test takers exceeded the Connecticut state average by 12 percentage points. They were ready for that exam, and I think it was because of their incredibly hard work, and I think it's also because we offer a supplemental bar preparation course that our students can take in their final semester of law school, and that gives them a little bit easier on-ramp for preparing for the exam. They're really ready for it when it comes.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that career preparation course and how it prepares them for the exam?
Well, this is a bar preparation course where a professor meets regularly with the students and goes over one subject area of the exam. It might be property or torts or contracts, and uses that as an example to help the students see what are the multiple choice questions going to be like, what are the essays going to be like, what's the structure of an effective essay. So they kind of get inside the psychology and the structure of the exam, and doing that through one subject area then allows them, as they move into the summer, to apply those same lessons to all the other subject areas that are going to be covered on the exam.
So Troy and Joey Lynn, before we got into these questions, we talked about the student life opportunities available at the School of Law. What's it like balancing your coursework and your extracurriculars, and how do those kind of overlay with each other?
Well, it's challenging, but it's manageable. And I think that the way that our curriculum is set up and the way that the faculty pushes us, we're able to achieve those goals. So for me, juggling work and children and going to school, to be able to come to school and know that the professors are committed to my success, and the fact that I'm able to engage and be a part of all of these extracurricular activities and societies just shows how manageable the program really is and how committed the school is to our success.
Troy, anything to add?
Sure. What I found is really helpful is the variety of course selection. So I know for me personally, to succeed, I want to get up early, do my work, and be done early on. I'm not the person who's going to stay up till 2 in the morning. So for me, it's important to take earlier classes. Luckily, there is a course that I'm interested in that is offered at the time I want it to be. So that's really important, to set my schedule ahead of time so that I know when I can do my best work for the entire year and beyond.
Don't forget, leave your questions, whether you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, in the comment section below as we move into a question from Yana. And Yana asks us on YouTube, what internships and externships are available to law students at Quinnipiac?
Well, I could talk about the externships a bit, because our externship program is really, I would say, second to none. We're very thoughtful about it. We have more than 300 potential externship sites in everything from courts to legislative offices to corporate general counsel within a corporation to law firms, public interest organizations, nonprofits, government offices. And what's really cool about it is that the director of our externship program, who is a tenured full-time member of the faculty, gets to know the students before assigning them to an externship site. So she can talk to them about, what kind of experiences do you want to get out of this, and what would be the right site for you. And not only that, but she guides them throughout the semester. They come back for a seminar at school where they can process what they're seeing out in the field. We don't just, sort of send the students out and say, hey, have a good time. We bring them back in to make sure that the lessons are really interactive and deep.
Troy, you've had some experience with the Career Development Office here at the School of Law. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so touching on what Dean Brown just said, a big thing for me coming to school is what can Quinnipiac do to help me succeed? And I learned very quickly how helpful the Career Development Office is, and the professors too. We've had multiple practitioners who are professors now, and I sat down with both of them, career development and professors, for hours going over resumes, tips for success, how to do well in a law firm. And I'm grateful for what they've done for me, because I got a great opportunity last summer at a great law firm in Hartford. And if it wasn't for Quinnipiac and all the help I got, I don't know if I would have gotten it.
And I think to add to that, being able to be taught by experts in the fields that they teach is wonderful. I go into work every day learning a little bit and applying a little bit what I've learned from law school into my job currently, and it's because of the professors and the quality of teaching that they give. So I'm very fortunate for that.
Staying on the topic of opportunities, we have a question from Justin, and Justin asks, what opportunities are there for law students to get hands-on experience in the specific field of study?
So touching on what Dean Brown said, the externship and the clinic we also have is the school's law firm, which is another great opportunity to really get a full caseload to go from start to finish. So you're working with a professor who is monitoring you, overseeing everything that you do, and you have your own case. You're working with clients. That is real life work. It's not just a mock trial fact pattern. That is a real life case. That's a real life matter. I think they're great experiences.
And we have a clinic for part-time evening students. So if you are in the part-time program, you get that hands-on clinical experience as well through the part-time evening clinic program.
And it sounds like that's extremely valuable.
Absolutely.
Well, Joey Lynn, Troy, and Dean Brown, thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come visit the Quinnipiac School of Law for yourself at our next open house on Saturday, November 3rd. Learn more about the outstanding programs, distinguished faculty, and supportive community that make Quinnipiac Law so special. To register, visit qu.edu/law/visit. And don't miss your opportunity to win a customized Quinnipiac Law prize pack. Like this video by the end of the live show, and we'll select one lucky winner live at the end of the show. Quinnipiac School of Law offers a variety of experiences. One area is international law and policy, and joining me now to share their unique experiences are Leah Mantai and Sheila Hayre. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So Leah, why don't you tell me a little bit about your background before coming to Quinnipiac Law?
So in college, I self-designed a major in Middle Eastern language and culture, and I had the opportunity to do an internship in Yemen and also study Arabic in Jordan. And based on that, I've taken those experiences into my time at Quinnipiac.
During your time at Quinnipiac, what types of international opportunities have you had?
Well, my first year, because I told my professor what I was really interested in, when an opportunity came to go to the Nobel Summit of Nobel Peace Laureates, I actually got to go to Bogota, Colombia, and learned all about the conflict there and the peace accords, and got to speak with some peace laureates, and it was really incredible.
And may I just say, it was the first time I met Leah, and it was incredible because this is an institution where the faculty had a faculty meeting and they invited folks to talk, and normally it's faculty, but one of the faculty said, I want the students who went to Bogota with me to talk to the faculty about it, and that's how I got to know Leah. So we've never had a class together, but it's sort of that kind of environment where you can closely interact with faculty.
And Leah, what did you take away from this opportunity?
Well, being able to go there and also actually being able to go to Jordan for another summit, I was able to use some of the experiences I've already acquired in undergrad and put them together with some of the negotiation and dispute resolution things I've learned here, and I hope to take them into my career going forward.
So Sheila, obviously a very valuable experience that Leah took part in. What other opportunities are there available to law students?
Well, I was surprised when I came here a couple years ago at how many there are. First of all, students have traveled to Trinity College, Dublin, to take part in coursework and spend the summer there doing that with our faculty, but also with faculty from other institutions, sort of getting more law credits and sort of expanding their expertise while being in this incredible setting. I have yet to take advantage of that. But I have actually worked with the International Human Rights Society, which has essentially from scratch created programs whereby the students go abroad and interact with other faculties, other law schools, to sort of exchange ideas in terms of how the law functions there. And so interestingly enough, I went on a trip to Nicaragua with these students that they had planned before I came to the faculty, and it was an incredible experience. And now, even though we've taken 10 trips to Nicaragua, this is going to be our 10th year, there are now issues in Nicaragua, but yet it sort of emphasizes the extent to which students are so much a part of what happens here at the law school. So the Nicaragua trip was student inspired, and now the students and I, as the faculty sponsor of the same group, are working to see where we will go next in terms of sort of creating new bonds. And I think we're looking towards Guatemala and some really exciting opportunities. But again, extremely student driven, and essentially, you know, we look to students like Leah to tell us what they're interested in, and it's incredible because it happens with their support.
Sheila, what is so valuable about the customizable concentrations that are available to School of Law students?
Well, actually, if I can, I'd love to defer to Leah. One of my courses that I teach immigration is counts towards this concentration, but you have the founder sitting next to me, or the creator.
Really?
So I'd love if
No,
if
not
Leah
quite
would...
the founder. I was able to look through the catalog and saw a lot of courses that were conducive towards international law and policy. And so working with some faculty members, I was able to help design it and design this concentration. And it's just really exciting because faculty are so supportive, and I was able to work with them and Dean Brown, and within 5 months, the concentration was approved and on the website, and Quinnipiac has just done a really great job of supporting its students.
Don't forget, leave your questions in the comment section below, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, as we move into a question from Shelby. And Shelby asks us, what types of clinics are at Quinnipiac, and do most students complete externships?
Yes, well, I think actually, I don't know, Leah, if you have some experience with clinics or externships, but I actually teach in the clinic. It's called our Quinnipiac University School of Law Civil Justice Clinic. And actually, we're a broad clinic. So within the clinic, I handle immigration cases, but also family cases. But I work with 2 other practitioners, clinical faculty, who work on a range of issues, including, you know, prison conditions, litigation, as well as LGBT issues. So we do a big range of things, and we also focus on policy projects. So
and
we've
asylum,
been involved.
right?
And exactly. So with the immigration projects, we've really gotten into the area of asylum, because that seems to be an area that, you know, Quinnipiac students are interested in. And I think it's largely because we're close to New York. New Haven has an incredible number of refugees who are being resettled by NGOs. And I think our proximity to New York really has shaped a lot of this interest in the area of international law. And students have really, I think, taken advantage of the proximity of New York to work at really incredible NGOs, but also the populations are very local here in New Haven and in Connecticut as well. As to externships, I think Dean Brown had mentioned that we have an incredible externship program. And what I tell students, and again, this is along the lines of folks like Leah, I just had a student come to me today saying, I'd like to actually do an experience abroad in India. And we had students in the past who said, I'd like to go to South Africa and do some work there. And so.
And she was talking about resettlement, and I actually worked at IRIS, the Refugee Resettlement Agency in New Haven, and I was able to help mostly Syrian refugee families who were applying for green cards, and I was able to translate for them and book appointments in Arabic and things like that. So using international experiences also in this area, international opportunities are all around us, even in Connecticut, and I think that's what Quinnipiac is trying to show us.
Exactly. So I tell students, if this is your interest, we have someone who's amazing on externships. So sort of bring this idea and we'll work together to think about what makes a good externship. And a lot of times it ends up to be very much what the student had in mind before.
Because again, faculty really care about students. So they just want to make things happen for us that we want.
Are there any international externship experiences available to law students?
Well, I would call them international overseas experiences. So again, there are many, and our students have gone again to South Africa and Ireland, Nicaragua, and hopefully coming up Guatemala. We also have this really interesting program that's starting to take off that happens sort of at different times in the year. It's called the Oxford Symposium, and students actually next week are going to be going to the UN to work with experienced academics and practitioners in the area of human rights to study sort of at the UN itself with these very experienced folks who are actually doing this work to sort of develop their expertise in this area. And we also have a program in the summer and the spring whereby students, instead of going to the UN, will actually go to Oxford to study human rights. And I was actually really excited. This is one of the things I love about being a faculty member is you get to travel with the students to go to some of these places, and it's just a totally different experience. You can be in the classroom, but in the clinic it's different, and then even more different in Oxford, where you are learning about civil rights, human rights issues, and the refugee experience with students during the day and at night, sort of going out to have scones or a beer. This program this summer in Oxford was incredible because not only were we learning about sort of the refugee experience from people who are on the ground working for NGOs that essentially resettle and assist refugees, we then traveled to Greece, in fact, the Isle of Lesbos, with two students from the law faculty. And, it was just eye-opening and incredible because the Aegean Sea is right there. Turkey is just within eyeshot, and you can understand how there are so many refugees essentially coming in these makeshift boats and trying to seek a better life. And so it was amazing. We went into a refugee camp that you're probably reading about in the news called Moria by day, and it was excruciatingly hot, and it was just an intense experience seeing folks living there in such conditions. And and then you go with your students in the afternoon and relax and cool off in the Aegean Sea. So it's a weird, wonderful experience to be able to go with your students and sort of put that into practice.
Don't forget, leave your questions in the comment section below, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, so they can be answered live on air by our guests. Sheila, we talked about earlier the Civil Justice Clinic, and something else that you are a part of is the Human Trafficking Prevention Project. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so I came as a practitioner. I was practicing law for quite a number of years before coming to Quinnipiac to teach. And I had connections with folks who had been in law enforcement. And there's a trafficking task force, an anti-trafficking task force in Connecticut that had recently it successfully passed a new initiative in Connecticut that was pretty groundbreaking. And one of the provisions was that we would have trainings for all hotel employees in the state of Connecticut, all hospitality industry employees. And so there was no funding for this, but a group of organizations got together, including state organizations like the Department of Family and Children, nonprofits, law enforcement, and NGOs that help trafficking victims reach safety and adjust to re-enter life, came together to essentially make this happen. And they said that the perfect way to do this is to sort of train our students and to have them go into the hotels and interact with hotel employees and sort of teach them how to identify signs of trafficking and also what to do when you see these signs. So it's been an incredible experience, and I think the students really enjoy it because they're putting their legal knowledge to work, which is, I think, something we do really well here at Quinnipiac. There's wonderful things going on in the classroom, but there are really concrete, practical programs that I think when our students graduate, they come out with these incredible skills that distinguish them from other folks. So these students really develop their public speaking skills in front of a large audience, and they've, it's been an incredible experience because we've also developed strange expertise, hearing from folks on the ground who are in hotels, describing to us some of the unique problems that they see in the industry. So we're now just exploring lots of ways to sort of take that beyond hotels and maybe into hospitals and other areas, schools. Yeah.
Well, Leah and Sheila, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
Come visit the Quinnipiac School of Law for yourself at our next open house on Saturday, November 3rd. Learn more about the outstanding programs, distinguished faculty, and supportive community that make Quinnipiac Law so special. To register, visit qu.edu/law/visit. And don't miss your opportunity to win a customized Quinnipiac Law prize pack. Like this video by the end of the live show, and we'll select one lucky winner live before the end of the show. The Quinnipiac Law School is known for preparing their students, and joining me right now is Emily Cass and Scott Donahue. Emily and Scott, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Scott, I need that tie.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Awesome tie. So Emily, we'll start with you. Could you tell us a little bit about where you are in your career after law school?
Sure. I graduated Quinnipiac Law in 2016. Right after that, I started clerking at the Connecticut Appellate Court here in Connecticut, working for 2 judges behind the scenes, kind of giving them my recommendations on how cases should turn out. After that, I started clerking for a federal district judge in Bridgeport for the District of Connecticut. So I work currently for him, doing both legal and administrative work behind the scenes.
Scott?
So I just graduated in May. I took the bar exam in July, so I'm waiting for those results. I'll get those in November, but once I get those back, I'll be a judge advocate in the Marine Corps.
So Scott, why Quinnipiac School of Law? What drew you to the School of Law?
So I went to Quinnipiac undergrad as well. So I already knew that what the close-knit community was like, and it really drove me to come here. Just the small class sizes and the interaction with fellow students and faculty as well. You really get to know each other and really support each other throughout the 3 years.
Emily?
Yeah, I went to a small undergrad. I really feel like that was a great environment for me. I loved having a small class size, having a really community feel. I'm from Connecticut, so I wanted to stay local. And so I came to an event at Quinnipiac, the Public Interest Law Project Auction, which is a really fun event that raises money for students who are working in public interest internships unpaid over the summer. And it was wonderful to see faculty and students just having a great time with each other outside of the classroom, and I knew that was a kind of community that I really wanted, and that has definitely exceeded my expectations. Not only do you get wonderful professional relationships with professors, but you also make personal relationships that don't end at graduation. I graduated in 2016. I got married in May, and a number of my professors traveled to New Hampshire for my wedding, and it was wonderful to have them there and celebrate with them.
So don't forget to leave your questions in the comments section below so they can be answered live on air by our guests as we move into a question from Shelby. And Shelby asks, is the bar prep course solely for the Connecticut bar exam, or do you provide a course for the universal bar exam as well?
Well, Connecticut is a universal bar exam state as of a couple years ago, and the prep course is pretty universal. It's tailored to the main subjects that you'll see in the bar exam: contracts, torts, criminal law, all things you'll see on no matter what bar exam you'll take. So the course is really very general, so anyone taking any state. I took Connecticut. I know Scott did not take Connecticut.
I took New Jersey. I felt more than prepared. I took the course in the spring semester of last year, and when I was studying for the bar exam, I felt like I would say 90% of it was a review, and that made me more comfortable going into the exam, knowing that I really didn't have to learn anything new for a tough exam. So that bar prep class really, and I speak for a lot of people, really helped us going into our prep for it.
Absolutely.
So I know we just jumped to kind of the final class to prepare you for the bar exam, but how did the Quinnipiac School of Law prepare you throughout your experience, Scott?
So you're required to take 4 out of 6 core electives. I took as many of those core electives as I possibly could, things like evidence and tax, and just having that basis of knowledge going into the bar exam and bringing that even further on into your legal career, it makes you feel comfortable.
Emily?
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. They create the course load so that it does prepare you for the bar exam, and I think besides just preparing us to, learn the material for the bar exam, I think what Quinnipiac does is really unique, and faculty take time out of their days during the bar exam to come up to the testing site in Connecticut and provide breakfast and lunch during the test. And that is an invaluable thing that Quinnipiac offers, because it's a very stressful time, I won't lie. And where you're gonna go for lunch when you only have a certain amount of time before you have to be back to take the second portion of the test is pretty stressful. So for them to take that stress out of it really is helpful to get you in the right mindset and to really make you feel prepared.
And we have a question now from Amanda, and Amanda asks us, could you speak to the public interest curriculum and opportunities for students interested in social justice law?
Absolutely. There are a number of courses that you can take in public interest type areas. There are also wonderful opportunities like the Civil Justice Clinic, which I know was spoken about at length, to get the feel for working in a kind of a nonprofit type law firm. The Civil Justice Clinic works primarily with low-income clients. There's also a wonderful externship program, as we've also heard a lot about today, where you can get placed in a number of public interest opportunities, government agencies, civil legal aid, criminal defense in the public defender's office. So there's really a great opportunity to get immersed in those public interest opportunities. There's also, like I mentioned, the Public Interest Law Project, which is an organization run by and comprised of students who are interested in public interest to meet practitioners and to kind of get to know what's out there in the public interest field.
So we have a question here from Andrew, and Andrew asks, what is the average class size of a 1L class?
So typically, the class size will get broken up into two sections, and a lot of the times you'll have a full class with that section. So I would say about typically my 1L classes were anywhere from 50 to 65 people. I know that after your 1L year, that size goes down dramatically. I've even had class with 4 people, so you really get to connect with your professors and have an engaging conversation with your professors.
And so I'm sure being able to engage with your professors is something extremely valuable. Justin asks us, what is the faculty to student ratio, and are faculty easily accessible? So in your experience, Emily, are faculty easily accessible?
Yes, 100%. So the ratio is 11 to 1, 11 students for 1 faculty member, and they're very easily accessible. I think the faculty here really do care about the success of the students, and they're also practitioners in their own right, so they care about the material as well. And so you will very, very usually find professors in their office after hours. They all have office hours where you can set up more formal meetings, but I don't know a single professor who wouldn't be open to just having a knock on their door, and if they're in there, they're always welcome. Students are always welcome to sit down and chat with them. You also see them walking around the halls, and they're usually very open to just chatting about life or the material or the exam or anything. So they're very, very accessible.
Scott, your experience with faculty?
I think I speak for many people, but I've had faculty members come up to me and ask me if I need letters of recommendation, and I think that just speaks to the community we have here at Quinnipiac, because I don't know of many places where faculty members come up to students. A lot of the times the faculty asks the student to come up to them and ask them if they need anything, but the faculty is so driven to see their students succeed that they'll do anything that they can do to see that through.
And I think, sorry to interrupt, but I think that is a function of having such a small school. You really get to make those personal relationships, and professors, will go out of their way to help students succeed.
And Scott, I know you took advantage of the Career Development Office to help you in your future plans after
Absolutely.
the Quinnipiac School of Law. How did they help you in guiding your future?
I went to them my second year, and I kind of told them what my plans were, and they sat down with me for probably hours and went over resumes and contacted employers, and eventually helped me contact a Marine Corps recruiter. I was able to meet with him on campus, and I kind of continued on that path, but they were instrumental in allowing me to be where I am today.
Well, we have another question here from Shelby, and Shelby asks, what is the classroom environment like? Is it competitive?
I think law school is inherently competitive just because people want to do well. You're spending a lot of time and effort in law school. You want to make sure that you're doing very well. I think there's also kind of a stereotype about law school that it's overly competitive. People are ripping pages out of books so you can't see it. It's kind of the trope you hear. And it's not like that at all. I think students really want to see each other succeed. I think there is really the mentality around Quinnipiac that we all rise when everyone does well. You know, Quinnipiac as a school gets better if all of the students do well, and I think everyone coming here has that mentality. And so I don't find it to be very competitive at all. I think people really want to see each other succeed. I've had many times where I missed a day of class, and before I even had to ask, I had notes emailed to me from that day.
So before, Scott, before we moved into this question from Shelby, you were talking about the Career Development Office and the Marine Corps. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your position there?
So a Marine Corps Judge Advocate is just essentially a lawyer in the Marine Corps, and if anyone's ever seen A Few Good Men, that's kind of what it's like. But I'll have the opportunity to represent Marines or the Marine Corps in pretty much any legal matter. It's also a great opportunity. Judge Advocates pretty much right from the get-go have the opportunity to be in court and argue on behalf of the client. And I think my experiences here at Quinnipiac really allowed me to, hopefully I'll be succeeding in that field. I was able to compete in the intramural mock trial competition here. And being part of mock trial really is a great opportunity to get your feet wet and get up in a courtroom and kind of see if you like to be in a court and speak in front of a real judge and advocate for a client.
Okay. Well, Scott and Emily, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
Come visit the Quinnipiac School of Law for yourself at our next open house on Saturday, November 3rd. Learn more about the outstanding programs, distinguished faculty, and supportive community that make Quinnipiac Law so special. To register, visit qu.edu/law/visit. Members of the Quinnipiac Law admissions team travel to law forums and fairs throughout the country, sharing what makes Quinnipiac School of Law so unique. We look forward to connecting with those attending the Law School Admissions Council Forum in New York on October 26th and 27th, and in Boston on November 12th. For more information on where you can meet our team, visit go.qu.edu/law-on-the-road. And before we leave you, we have drawn a name from all the likes on the video, and our lucky winner of the Quinnipiac Law Prize Pack is Justin Cornelius. Congratulations, Justin. And that's all the time we have for our show this evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Joel Vanner, and we hope to see you on one of our campuses soon.